and welcome to From Mess to Message, A Journey to Purpose. I'm your host, Winfield Sargent. Thank you so much for joining us for another uplifting, inspiring, and encouraging installment of our show. Today we have with us attorney Ellen E. Edwards. Miss Edwards is a long-time Brooklynite. She was born here in Brooklyn and is running for the office of civil court judge in the Democratic primary coming up on September 12th. Miss Edwards, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm honored to be in your presence.
Well, I'm one of your biggest fans. So I'm honored that you actually took the time out of your busy schedule, because we know that you are on everyday campaign. You're out there campaigning for this position. Could you tell our guests just a little bit about your history here in Brooklyn as an attorney?
Well, I've been practicing for 28 years. I have been in the same office for 25 years. I have my own private firm. It's Edwards and Associates. I have sponsored and trained up 3 female attorneys. They are now, they were interns at one time, then they went to law school, and now they're practicing attorneys in Brooklyn. I have a general practice. I've been in every court that there is in New York State. I've been in the Court of Appeals, Appellate Term, Appellate Division, Criminal Court, Family Court, Matrimonial Part, Landlord-Tenant Court. I even did a bankruptcy case. But I have a general practice firm. I also do guardianships, and I'm a guardian ad litem, which is something I'm most proud of. I assist people who are mentally impaired or physically impaired, or senior citizens who need assistance in navigating the system through housing court. So that's one of my projects, something that I'm very proud of. I've assisted many people in maintaining their apartment or in transitioning from one apartment to the next based on their change in physical circumstances. Some people live in a second floor apartment and they're now in a wheelchair and they just can't manage. So I assist them navigating through the system.
Okay. So for people who are not familiar with the run of run as a judge, and what the job of a judge, of a civil court judge, could you tell them a little bit about that actual working in the court system and what you're vowing for, the job that you're running for?
Well, a civil court judge in Kings County would hear cases that are civil in nature, meaning someone is suing another person, and the jurisdictional amount is under $25,000. They also do something called no fault, which is when someone has involved in a car accident. The legislature has determined that, you just look to what the circumstances are and you determine what the measure of damages are. They also do name changes. And that's the basic parameters. It's basically civil cases. Now, though you enter in, if you're elected as a civil court judge, that's not necessarily where they will keep you. They look to see what your experiences are. They also look to see what deficiencies they have in different court houses, and they can transfer you there. So therefore, people who have entered as civil court judges, sometimes they'll put you directly in criminal court, which is a place I've had lots of experience in, or they can put you in family court.
Okay. Now, what is this race that we're having now? Because I know I got my my voter's book. I got it in the mail and everything, and I saw all these people that were running for office, and as I was looking, I started looking through the book. I was like, wait, there's more people running for offices. And I know a lot of us, we got that book. So could you explain to us why we don't see the judges in that book? Can you, I'm not sure, because I'm a little confused. Is that the norm? Is that normal or not?
It's hard to say. There's an organization that does the book. The judicial races are very important this year.
Yes.
There are many people running. There are two separate factions. There's one, the county usually selects who the judges are. So if there are 6 seats available, the county you usually will just see just those 6 names go on the ballot. This year it's very different. You have the people who are selected by the county, and then you have an insurgent group, a group of 6 people or 5 people that are running against those individuals. Ellen is with neither faction. I'm running as an independent. And that means that I am very much a Democrat, but I am not with either of the slates. I feel that judicial independence is very, very important. Sometimes the politics, or you would say the politricks, interferes in the judge's independent determination of particular cases. And you notice that the executive, our 45, our president, has made comments about the judiciary and saying these people are fake judges, or because of someone's ethnicity, they could not make a fair decision in a case, etc. Those things are very alarming, and those are things that should not occur. The Constitution is a very wonderful document, and it sets out 3 separate branches of government. That's the executive, the legislature, and the courts. And I believe those things should remain separate in order to protect the rights of everyone. And I know everybody sees that lady of justice with the blinders on and the scale and the sword in her hand. And I'm a woman who is interested in fighting for justice and to make sure that justice is served for everyone. So why that very important, when there's such a change, a shift in the way in which the judiciary is going to be selected this year, I think that should have been included in the guide. I'm not sure why it was not, but you will see Ellen E. Edwards' name on the ballot.
Yes.
It's number 16. They have them numbered sequentially. You will see my name there, and you will see the names of the other people who are running for office. Why they decided not to include that, that's something for the voters to think about.
Yes.
Is this something that someone wanted to be hidden, or maybe they didn't have enough paper to put all those names on there? Excuse me, I don't know. But that I found that very unusual myself.
Yes, yes. Now, I know that you didn't just wake up. Well, no, you probably did. So let's rephrase it. How did you decide that, okay, my next journey will be to become a judge? When did that light go off? When did you decide that?
I have always been very proud of my private practice.
Yes.
It has allowed me a wonderful lifestyle. I traveled extensively, etc. I never let my passport expire. In January, when the newly elected executive person put a halt on people coming into the country, people who had left with travel plans and were coming home based on what country they were from, that really gave me pause. In addition, my mom passed in July, and one of her charges that she gave to me was she says, "Oh, Ellen, you lack ambition." I was like, "What do you mean I lack ambition? I'm the first person in the family to graduate from a professional school, law school. I'm the only one that has their own private business. I'm helping people in the community. I'm helping people in our family." And she says, "No, you can do more." And when I saw what was happening in January, I heard that calling, that with the skills, the experiences that I have, my level of compassion for people, and plus a lot of people just kept asking me, why is it that I didn't run, or why can't you? And those are people that work in the courts with me, court reporters, court officers, other attorneys. And given that, and I realized the level of compassion that I have for people, and I'm a very fair person and a very even-tempered person, I said, well, maybe, no, not maybe. My skills can be used in another platform to assist the people of Brooklyn. And so I sought out people who do campaigns, and I changed the direction of my career. I was really never one who, there's a certain process where you would, there's another process where you would, join a political club and then wait for the club to support you, and then if they choose you, then you'll, be able to run. But I've never really been like a club member type person. I mean, I've had clubs come and ask me to speak, and I've spoken on many topics. We have arranged seminars on what to do when you stop by the police, to inform the community following the Trayvon Martin incident, inform the community, how to respond when a police officer comes up to your car. And we had two very prominent attorneys, one who he himself had been arrested by the police based on his observation of a police interaction with the citizenry, and another well-respected attorney, and had them speak on their experiences, and I spoke on my experience as well. And we had some community activists there to give, a hands-on seminar. And we had a simulation so that people can see how your demeanor and what their expectations are. If you have the proper training, you can come out of that experience alive. And I think that's the most important thing, that when you have an experience or an interaction with a police officer and you feel like you're physically in danger, there are certain verbal judo skills that you can use to keep yourself alive. And we also have to consider that the police officer, they may feel that they're entering into a situation where they feel they won't be going home. And so when you put those two things together, if someone doesn't have the skills or the knowledge or the correct temperament, these things can wind up, someone not going home because someone overreacts, or someone doesn't act with, these, with the training that is available in mind, so that you don't escalate a situation unnecessarily.
One of the platforms, one of the interests that that's very important to you is families. And I saw that one of the things that you want to do when you get into office is to create more nighttime court. To be able, because for me personally, and I have never campaigned for anyone, and I've never, this is my first time and throwing my head into campaigning for you. When dealing with and I know a lot of people could relate, when dealing with the court system lacked this compassion. Compassion for individuals as well as compassion for families. And as a civil court judge, and being in the civil court, I love the fact that you're thinking about, hey, people have to work every day. They have a job that they may not be able to take off work. So why not provide a evening court? So speak to us about providing evening courts in.
Well, there are different judicial models. One of the models is the Red Hook Community Justice Center that's in Red Hook. And I've been working there since that center opened. And they take a more holistic approach to adjudicating cases. One is that they have social workers available. They have different programs. They have one judge that hears all the different types of cases, the family court case, the criminal court case, and the housing case. And by having that one judge in the community, he gets to know the entire community. He knows the pockets where there are different incidents occurring, and he addresses it in a more holistic way. People are not made to feel when they enter the building that they're entering into a hostile environment. They have wonderful signage. You know where it is you're supposed to be going. There's, arrows and signs in different languages. So it doesn't feel, you don't have that fear when you enter the building, and that uncertainty that leads to confusion. So that's one of the things that I see is a successful model, and I think that should be done more of. Now, in terms of the night court, I've been in criminal court working arraignments for many, many years. I know that coming to court is a very important thing, but I think the courts can adapt and allow people to have their cases heard in the evening. Not everyone,
Yes,
but some people, if you demonstrate that that would be a hardship, because sometimes there's a choice between keeping your job and coming to court. And sometimes people have to choose keeping their job. So they can't keep coming back to court over and over again at the same hours that they're,
supposed to be at work.
the
Yeah.
hours they're supposed to be at work.
Exactly.
And so, losing your job versus coming to court, people have to make, sometimes people have to make those choices. And then they come back, when they can. And by that time, they've either defaulted on the case or they have a warrant issued against them. And I think the courts can adapt somewhat to have night courts available so that, okay, well, your case can be heard. Even some of the criminal cases, if people don't come during the day, they do have 2 parts open in the evening for arraignments. For those people who cannot appear during the day, they can have, certain parts of their cases adjudicated during the evening, because there's a period in terms of the discovery, et cetera, where, it's not a major, it's not like you have to have a jury available. You just need a judge, you need the clerks, you need the court officers, and the people are not incarcerated, so their cases can be, heard, and the arguments that are done during the day can be done in the evening as well. And then the people will not be risk of losing their jobs in order to have justice done.
Exactly.
So I think we need to, make some accommodations for people who will have difficulties coming to court during the daytime. Also, there are so many people who do not have legal representation. Now, in criminal court, that issue has been addressed. There's a large number of public defenders. In the housing court, that issue has just been addressed this year, and I think that's going to come into effect in October, where people are going to be assigned or allowed to pick attorneys from a list of providers in order for them to have representation. In civil court primary, they don't have that yet. They have it for housing court. But there are a number of occasions where there are people who are unrepresented. And as a result of that, those scales that should be balanced are not. They're imbalanced.
Yes.
And in order to level the field, not to give anyone an advantage, the courts have to, do a little bit more to assist people with that.
We know that in this run right now, there is a lot of this year. It's wonderful. There's a lot of women. There are a lot of women
Yes.
on the ballot.
Yes.
And
yes.
and that's historic.
It
It's
is
wonderful.
historic. It is there are a historic number. I'm just talking about Brooklyn. I'm not aware of all the other races, but there are a historic number of women who have stepped up to the plate. Very accomplished women, very dedicated women, and they have the commitment to serve the public.
Yes.
And it's a service. The salary, I mean, for some, it's not an increase in salary. For some, it's a diminution in salary. For some, it's not. It's a calling.
Yeah.
It's not like a job advancement, et cetera. It's something that you feel like you will feel honored to serve the public and to move the ball forward in terms of our development as a human family.
Yes.
And I think the results of the last election has rang the bell, and people are willing to sacrifice, whatever their jobs were before, to now step into this position to serve the people of Brooklyn. I think I know all of the women that are running, and I'm very, very proud to be amongst that group.
Okay.
Although I'm not running in either the slate, there are a lot of women who have been practicing law for a long time. When I first entered the profession, I could go in rooms and it'd be just me as a woman of color. Now there are many women of color practicing as attorneys. We have a number of women judges. I wish there were more men of color that would come to the fore to serve in that capacity, because I believe the diversity serves the entire community in a way that's immeasurable. It's just, we need diversity. We need more women. We need more men of diverse backgrounds. I tell the story is when I first went into surrogates court, and they had a wall of just white men all around the room. And I was a little intimidated. You know, I was 25. And when I came in there, they looked at me and I looked at them, and I said, hey, I have a law degree. I didn't have any experience at that time, but I was very sure of myself in the knowledge that I had acquired studying for the bar and working in law firms for quite some time. Because I'm not, although I have 28 years of being an attorney, I really started in the legal career when I was 16 years old, because I was an intern for Emmanuel Towns, for a number of different smaller law firms. So I've been working in law offices. You know, when other people were working at McDonald's, I was working in the law office as a clerk, drafting things, typing, doing research. So I've been in the law field for, you know, all of my adult life and a lot of my teenage life too.
We know that you have, being from Brooklyn, you are from, you were born from Brooklyn, and I know that you have a very eclectic background of a family makeup like most of us. So tell us a little bit about your connection to Brooklyn and as well as connection to the Caribbean.
Well, we always thought that we were Bayesian. So, you know, I've been to Barbados a number of times. There are a lot of Edwardses in Barbados. But in, you know, answering questions about my heritage, I said, you know, I need to really, you know, check it out to be sure. And we've learned that my grandfather was from Jamaica. And he was a chef, and he was a seaman. And a lot of men in my family are cook. My father was a great cook.
Yes.
And I guess he inherited that. And I'm a great cook also. So that's, my grandfather's from Jamaica. My grandmother's from Savannah, Georgia. They were born in the 1890s. So that was, you know, just, you know, the people before them were in slavery. Then my stepfather is from St. Vincent. I have a lovely lady who I call my other mother. She's from St. Vincent. As soon as I finish this election process, I got to go see my mom. That's my birthday. My birthday is then. And I've been to the islands extensively. And when I say traveled, I've traveled there, I don't mean going to a hotel.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean going to somebody's house
Yes.
and staying with them and learning how to cook their food and learning their culture and being able to go back to their house. Also, I have friends in Ghana. I've been there a number of times, and the same thing, I really am not the hotel person, because I want to learn the culture and learn the people and appreciate that. So, yeah, that's how I am. I'm not, you know, I'm people are always surprised. They always say, "Oh, where are you from?" I say, "I'm from Brooklyn," and I'm proud of that, because Brooklyn is the world. I mean, you can eat all kinds of food here. If you want Northern Italian, you want Sicilian, you want, you know, different styles of eating. Different Indian foods, just everything is here.
Yes.
Everything
yes.
is here. You want
It's a melting
Guyanese, you want Nigerian food, you want, it's just all here.
Yeah.
It's just, the world is here in Brooklyn. And I love the diversity of its people.
Yes.
I love the sharing of culture. I went to an Eid celebration, and on the same block, there was an African-American Eid celebration, and there was a Nigerian Eid celebration. And Brooklyn is a borough of churches. You can go on one block and find 8 different churches.
Yes.
And they're all worshiping God, and I'm a deacon in my church, and I've been to many different churches during this campaign. And it's just amazing to see that the love that people have for one another, their love for, you know, God, and they have many different practices, etc. But there's a, you know, there's a central figure in terms of worship.
Yes.
And I just love it. I just love the diversity, and I have no qualms about going to different people's house and sitting down and eating their food and talking, trying to talk their language the best that I can.
Yes.
So I'm really a global citizen. But wherever I go, I always come back to Brooklyn because it's just Brooklyn is the world to me.
Yeah.
It just is. I love the architecture. We have wonderful arts here. I'm a member of the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. We're gardeners in my house. We grow callaloo, collard greens, herbs, flowers. They're not too big on flowers, but we're gardeners. I'm a member of BAM. I've been there. I go there often. The ballet, opera, soca, steel pan.
So Brooklyn is deep in you.
It's all
running through you.
It's running all the way,
Just running
all up
through
and
you.
down, left, right,
Yes,
and center.
yes.
And it's not. I'm not just my Caribbean culture that I love. I love the other cultures too. I shop in Chinatown, and that's where I go to get my vegetables. And I shop at Three Guys from Brooklyn. That's an Italian store. So I'm just just all over the place. And that global approach to things is something that I love about myself. It's something that I've cultivated because I believe all cultures have something of value to offer. Everyone is part of the human family. And if we respect one another, we can all move forward as a culture, as a people.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's my approach to life. I know I'm an African American woman, but I'm very comfortable going anywhere.
Yes. Yes. So as we wrap up, I want you to take a moment and just tell the people why Ellen E. Edwards should be their next civil court judge.
There are many people running. There are 5 seats, but I think Ellen E. Edwards should be one of your choices. First of all, she's a daughter of Brooklyn. I am very compassionate, and I have a passion for justice. I feel that the rule of law should apply equally to everyone, no matter what your financial situation is, what your socioeconomic situation is, what your race is, what your gender preference is, what your sexual orientation is. That lady with the blinders on, with the scales and the sword, that lady should be reflected in the courtroom. Equal justice, fairness toward all, these are the things that I feel are important, or these are the things that Ellen Edwards will bring to the judicial system. I've been a staunch advocate for my clients. I'm a great researcher, I'm a great writer, and I'm a wonderful thinker. And I have compassion for people. And I care about people. Yeah. I try to look at people in a more holistic way. I don't see people who are accused of crimes as bodies. I say they are accused. Yes. They're not guilty. I don't call them defendant. I call them the accused. Accusation is not proof of anything. And in trying to, keep that balance, I think it's important to have someone with that type of perspective, not geared toward persecuting people, not defending people when they clearly have done things that are harmful to others. And also I have an appreciation for people who have mental illness. And I think we need to have more services and awareness. There are people who have mental illness, and we should deal with the mental illness and not criminalize it. Okay. And not use our resources to kill people who are mentally ill. I mean, I tell people, if you have a mentally ill person in your home, call 311 and get the Mental Health Crisis Center to come out. Don't dial 911. Call the mental health crisis people. Let them try to come in and talk the person down so that you don't wind up having these circumstances where people who are mentally ill wind up dead because the police are there to respond to a crime. And the mental health services people are there to assist people who are having a mental health crisis. And I just want, at the end of the day of any interactions between people who are unknown to each other or even known to each other, that everyone gets to go home happy and healthy, or if not happy, you go home healthy.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's more important that you go home.
Yes, yes. Well, Miss Edwards, we are so happy that you graced us with your presence today, and most of all, we're going to continue praying for you on this new journey to purpose, to a wonderful purpose, a purpose that will make a difference.
Prayer is the first thing that I ask from anyone. I want you to vote for me, yes, but I would like for you to pray for me so that I have proper discernment, and whatever the results of this particular election, I'll just feel blessed for having the experience, meeting the people, and learning a lot about myself.
Well, we thank you so much. And remember, on September the 12th, don't forget to look for Ellen E. Edwards on your ballot. That's independently running Democrat Ellen E. Edwards for civil court judge. And remember, with everything you do, lead with love, because love always wins. Thank you.
Thank you.